The Conceptual Legacy Project is actually the result of years of planning and study here in our school district. Back during the 2015-16 school year, the district engaged in the work that built the facilities assessment. We recognize that it's so important that the facilities in which our students learn need to be current, need to support learning, and need to be safe. Of course, that would be the priority. And so following the work of the facilities assessment, we recognize that we would need to conduct further study, use the district's resources very well and expeditiously, and at the same time begin to chart the course for the future. That's the idea behind the legacy part of the title. With regard to conceptual, what I want our residents to know that this is the year for engaging them in the conversation. It is conceptual. What we are going to present today isn't a decision. The Board of Education here in our district is very interested in gathering feedback from the residents and the community members, local business owners, elected officials, our parents, and of course our students, so that if this project is to proceed, that it's going to meet the needs of our community.
In order for us to accurately plan for the future, we need to know what our facility's current condition is. And so that's the purpose of the 2016 facilities assessment. We went through all of our facilities and wanted to understand all the different elements of the infrastructure. How is our roofing? How is our paving? How is our HVAC systems, our air conditioning and heating systems? So we did a very comprehensive look at our facilities, utilizing two experts in the Cleveland area. One is Lesko Associates, who they essentially wrote some of the guidelines for assessing facilities with the Ohio Facilities Commission. The other one is Karpinski Engineering, which is a highly reputable engineering firm, and they primarily looked at our infrastructure systems for electrical, for HVAC, some of those systems. And so with that, we were able to develop a plan of what are our high priority items that we need to address in the next couple of years, what are our middle priority areas that need to be identified in the next 3 to 5 years, what are our low priority items. And so this slide that we have really depicts the estimated costs over the next 5 to 10 years at each of our buildings. What you'll notice is a large number for Dodge Intermediate School of $22 million. And that $22 million is related to a number of issues that we have at Dodge Intermediate School. One is our HVAC system. It's estimated that we have about $4 million of renovations. Our electrical, our plumbing, and then finally our classroom size. So our classroom size is approximately 500 to 600 square feet. And when we're building new buildings, they're typically about 900 square feet to support 21st century learning. When looking at the facilities assessment, if your high, middle, and low priority items amount to more than 2/3 the cost of building new, it's really important to consider building new. Unless there's something of historical significance, it's very similar to your house, where if you're looking at your house and you're looking at a renovation project, you also don't know everything that's behind the walls. We try to have as many drawings of what's behind the walls, but you always have surprises when you do renovation projects. And so the cost of building a new 3-grade building is approximately $30 million. When you look at $30 million compared to the $22 million estimated for Dodge, it makes sense to look at options for rebuilding Dodge either on this current site or another site.
Through our facilities assessment, we recognize that the building here at George G. Dodge Intermediate School is in the need for significant renovation, repair, upgrading for the students that attend here in grades 4, 5, and 6. And so what we recognize is that this is an expensive project. And so the Board of Education wants to make sure that the residents here in our community understand the need of today's learners, because 21st century learners learn in very different ways than the learners did back in the 70s when this building was originally built to be the district's junior high school. So looking at available properties, we could potentially rebuild or renovate the building as it stands here on the campus of George D. Dodge Intermediate School. We can look to purchase property somewhere else, but the fact of the matter is property is pretty rare here in our community. Or we can look to build a new school someplace within the boundaries of the Twinsburg City School District property. So we're going to be talking today about some of the options that have been created through the work of the Facilities Action Team after studying our facilities assessment and in initial conversations with the Board of Education. The responsibility for Twinsburg City School District, as well as all school districts in our nation, is to make sure that we are preparing our students for successful adulthoods. And so we recognize in our school district that opportunities need to be different today than they were yesterday. And what I mean by that is that our students of today are 21st century learners. They're harnessing the power of technology. They need to be able to collaborate in small groups and big groups. They need to be able to move around in their learning spaces. Learning spaces look different than just a teacher at the front of the classroom with rows of desks. And so flexible furniture is one of the things that the Board of Education has started to commit resources to. This past school year and this school year, we have been working with the implementation of a pilot project called Blended Learning, where students are learning in 21st century environments. And so this Conceptual Legacy Project needs to be sure to integrate that thought moving forward to make sure that the classrooms that we're going to have our students learning in are not just great for kids of today, but for kids of tomorrow as well.
One of the options that we're considering is building a new 3-grade building over at the high school property. There's quite a bit of land over by the existing practice soccer field as well as the baseball field. Enough property to build a potential 3-grade building. And so we have a rendition here that I want to stress, it's an early rendition, it's extremely conceptual. So whenever we would go through a process, it would be a year-long process to look at the design. So essentially, the only thing I can guarantee you is that the drawing here will be different than what it would be a year later from now. There are a few common threads that are important though. One is separating car and bus traffic, and so you'll see in the drawing recognition of wanting to separate those two types of traffic for better flow of traffic. We also have taken into consideration trying to ensure that we have enough parking spots to address some of the overflow parking for the fitness center as well as the high school. So throughout the site plan you'll see additional parking. But one of the things that we are concerned about and our community is provide feedback as well is the concern of egress. Right now we only have one form of egress in and out of our high school. And so that's something that would need to be researched further, is how we get additional forms of egress, whether it's going through the back of the school, through the library, or whether it's going to another cutaway to Ravenna Road, and all those would require extensive traffic studies, which we would undertake with the city and the state.
If the thought is to build a new school on the property across the street at the high school campus, we have a commitment here as a school district to make sure that our athletic fields are replaced one-to-one. And so the thinking in this Conceptual Legacy Project plan would be to relocate the boys' practice soccer field and the ball diamond that is usually used for our 9th grade baseball team and the city over to the George D. Dodge Intermediate School campus. The other thing that we would be thinking about doing is potentially moving our transportation department over to the campus here at George D. Dodge Intermediate School. It is really important that we provide our transportation department with facilities that meet their needs of today and into the future. We have a pretty old transportation maintenance garage across the street. And to be honest with you, we have to be very selective in the buses that we can purchase for our students because the bays cannot support certain models of the school buses. So we want to make sure that our transportation department needs are met so that we can have a facility that helps us to repair our buses, maintain the fleets in a very top-notch manner, and also making sure that the facility is safe for our employees who work on our vehicles every day here in the school district.
As previously mentioned, we are still discussing the grade level alignment of our school district. However, if RB Chamberlain became a 4-5 building, we would need to make sure that there's appropriate playgrounds for the building. One of the options that we've considered is if we move transportation over to the current Dodge property, we could place the playgrounds in the areas previously occupied by transportation. One of the most rewarding experiences as part of this legacy project discussion has been talking with our community about different ideas that they have stemming off of our original discussion about relocating Dodge. And so all of the following options that we discussed from this point forward are derived from the valuable community feedback that we've already received, and we are looking forward to every single day our Conceptual Legacy Project evolves based on the quality feedback from our community members.
We appreciate the partnerships that we have with our local businesses as well as our residents here in our community. As I mentioned previously, it's important that if a construction project were to be done at the high school campus, the need to move the athletic fields over to our current Dodge property is really important. And taking that idea even further, one of the things that we have recognized for many, many years is the strong partnerships that we have with many of the organizations, including the Twinsburg Public Library. In recent conversations with Director Laura Leonard, I understand that the Twinsburg Public Library is such a very busy place where meeting room space is at a premium, and also the library personnel would love to have an opportunity to have an auditorium or a large meeting room space. And so we began a conversation about potentially building an annex between Twinsburg High School and the Twinsburg Public Library. That building could house a couple different things. For example, the library could have additional meeting space. It could have a large auditorium or a large multi-purpose room where productions could be held. One of the things that we have been talking about in our district is the need to have a place for our educators and classified staff members to engage in professional development during the workday. We really don't have a lot of space to do that. If we want to use a computer lab, we have to displace students in order to do so. And so the thought about building an annex between both of those properties is an interesting one. It would fill many, many different needs, potentially moving the Board of Education staff members to the new building, and that building would house the operation of the school district in that sense. The other thing that would allow us to do is to connect both buildings so that the public library could potentially have adult education classes in one of the wings at the high school in the evening. Likewise, Twinsburg High School has an interest in growing its makerspace, and in order to do that, we would like to see the students be able to use the library for research and for things for which they need to conduct that research. And so during the school day, if the annex building were to be built, students from Twinsburg High School could walk through the annex building through potentially walkways to the public library, use that building for their research and engaging in collaboration with their peers. And we in turn can turn Twinsburg High School's media center into a makerspace that would really meet the needs of today's learners.
One of the concerns that our facilities focus group brought up was the limited parking at Tiger Stadium. Currently, if we have a large capacity crowd, it necessitates us using the front three baseball fields of RB Chamberlain Middle School. Especially during rainy weather periods, it's very hard to use that. It actually creates safety concerns too, as far as cars driving on the baseball fields and what ruts they might create from that. And so this rendition looks to address some of those concerns. And so it adds 575 parking spaces in direct proximity to the stadium. And our facilities focus group also was very interested in building a gateway or a main entrance to our facility, where there would be a main ticket booth and just a grander entrance to our Tiger Stadium for our residents and also visitors to enjoy.
So if the Conceptual Legacy Project would include a new gateway at Tiger Stadium, we recognize once again our commitment to making sure that the fields that would be impacted by that gateway project have a home. And as we said before, what we understand is that the Hoon Field, currently at Tiger Stadium's property, would be moved across the street to the current Dodge campus, as well as one of the ball diamonds that would be impacted by the new parking area over by Tiger Stadium. Again, it is our interest to make sure that we maintain our ball diamonds because we are very cognizant of the fact that our community enjoys engaging in athletics and that we want to make sure that not only our buildings are state of the art, but that our facilities outdoors support the needs of our community.
One area of community feedback that we received was in regards to the concerns about the location of Tiger Stadium, in addition to the concerns of the egress that would be resulting from building another 3-grade building on the current high school site. And so one of the items that we thought about and renditions is, what if we move Tiger Stadium over to the high school? Currently, it's located at the middle school property, and a number of our events are driven by the high school, as far as our high school marching band, our football team, our soccer team. All of our high school athletic events are actually having to then go over to R.B. Chamberlain Middle School. And so we looked at a number of items related to Tiger Stadium that really we would have to spend it whether we are renovating Tiger Stadium at its current location or if we move it over to the high school. And going back to our original 2/3 rule, it comes very, very close to the, meeting that 2/3 rule requirement, if not exceeding it. So this rendition looks at moving Tiger Stadium to the close proximity on the high school campus, which provides a lot of different advantages. It also addresses some parking concerns over at the high school, in addition to ensuring that we have appropriate parking for the fitness center, which we share our property with the city of Twinsburg. If we move Tiger Stadium over to the high school property, we still need to find a location for a 3-grade building. One possibility would be utilizing the property of Tiger Stadium and the adjacent football practice field. With that, we'd be looking at building another 3-grade level building on that site and making sure that you'll notice a number of similar features of separating car and bus traffic, making sure that we have appropriate flow of egress, and a number of the issues that we have at the high school site are addressed through the moving of the 3-grade building over to the R.B. Chamberlain site. This was extremely valuable feedback from our community that we wouldn't have thought of initially without the valuable feedback from the community forums we've had in this past several months.
The final idea that we were able to glean from initial feedback potentially talks about the construction of a very large elementary school. At the Bissell property, we are currently using a small section of a 20-acre plot of land. And so there is room at the current Samuel Bissell Elementary School site to build a preschool through grade 3 building. We've known now for many years that preschool and early childhood experiences are extremely important in preparing students for success throughout our school district's years, but also in preparing them for successful adulthoods in the 21st century. And so if given the approval by our residents here in our community, we would engage in a construction project at the Samuel Bissell Elementary School current site, which would house grades preschool through 3. So as we're out about talking with residents this school year, engaging our local business owners, engaging our parents, and of course our students, it's important to recognize again that this is conceptual in nature. The Twinsburg Board of Education has not made a commitment to a legacy project, but what they are committed to is ensuring that anyone who wants to offer feedback is heard and that comments that are offered are part of the conversation and the decision that the Board of Education will ultimately make regarding a conceptual legacy project. One of the things that the Board of Education understands is that in 2021, the high school bonds will be paid off. Potentially, the thinking is if there is a legacy project that potentially, a legacy project bond issue may occur at the point at which the high school bonds are paid off. Again, the Board of Education is very cognizant of the expense of a project such as the one that we are engaging our community members in throughout this school year. They want to make the right decision, and so I invite all members of our community, whether you have children in school, whether you're an empty nester, whether you never had students in our school district, whether you're a senior citizen or a local business owner, please engage in the conversation, because our Board of Education is committed to listening to what you have to say and to creating the project that meets the needs of our community, not only today, but into the future. Thank you for your time.